What's going on, everybody? This is B. Scott.
G.O.D. You talking to a god right now.
And the third wheel.
And this is the first 4 downs. Let's get it. All right, so week 4 is in the books. It's now week 5. We got to get your waiver wire set. And for me, looking at the running back position, we'll start with the running back position. I like Ronald Jones. And the reason I like him is 3 out of 4 weeks, he's actually produced solid fantasy numbers. And it's only a matter of time before the ball gets turned over to him for good, hopefully. You know, Peyton Barber's always going to be there, but it's Peyton Barber, man. He's never looked that great. And the way that offense ran last week, Tampa putting up 54 points, Ronald Jones finishing with 70 yards and a touchdown. I mean, like I said, I think he's coming. And he's a guy that you can definitely stash on your bench as a bye week filler and a potential RB2 flex guy all year. So that would be my number one waiver for the running back position. But you also, I mean, you can't forget Jordan Howard. If he's not owned in your league, I mean, you look at last week, 3 touchdowns against Green Bay Packers, 80 yards rushing. I worry about Miles Sanders affecting that, but, you know, going forward, we knew Jordan Howard had talent. You know, he was a good running back for the Chicago Bears. I'm shocked they let him go like they did. So, and when they turned around and drafted David Montgomery, you know, they obviously didn't believe in Jordan Howard, but I still think he's got all the talent in the world to make the plays. I mean, what do you think? You think Jordan Howard should be your number one waiver this week?
He drafted Miles Sanders.
No. I'm talking about the Bears draft, moving on from Jordan Howard.
Yeah, running back Jordan Howard is my number one waiver this week. There is a lot of concerns about the consistency, but you got to understand in Peterson's system, they run a committee back. Yeah, like you said, you know, he's had to work low before. We've seen what he could do. He has the speed and size to be an every down back if Miles Sanders were to get hurt. We've seen it in Peterson's system in 2017 in that championship run where they acquired LeGarrette Blount. And it's almost the same system, but he's an upgrade from there. And they also had Jay Ajayi there. You know what I mean? So Peterson has shown the ability to be able to produce 2 running backs. You know what I mean? Every year, every week that year, we were all hearing it from the pros, like this is going to regress. He's not going to get touchdowns, but it continuously happened. I think Jordan Howard will do the same thing. Right now, he's doing a lot on his touches. You know what I mean? He's averaging 4.7 yards per carry right now on 40 carries, already 3 touchdowns there and a score in the passing game. So I think with the bye weeks coming ahead, he does have that huge week 10 bye that most of the running backs do have right now. But he's one of those guys that's going to be flexible week in and week out. He's owned in only less than like 50% of league so far right now. So that's my number one guy right now. I would be picking him up with my number one waiver, no problem if I was in that situation.
Yeah, you know what? I like Jordan Howard a lot, truly, but I just, like I said, worry about the consistency with him. But I think he has all the potential to take over. And if Miles Sanders were to get hurt, it's almost guaranteed you got an RB1.
Yeah, if he starts that fumbling, which he had at Penn State.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
So that's what I like. You know, don't get me wrong. I like Ronald Jones. I like Jordan Howard a lot at the running back position. So we can move on to the wide receiver position now. And my number one waiver this week, I'm looking at Golden Tate. And now there's a lot of receivers out there that had pretty solid weeks, but Golden Tate coming off a suspension, Daniel Jones looking like he has the ability to make those passes, and with inconsistent field time of Sterling Shepard. I mean, the guy's always hurt. He's always in and out of the lineup. So Golden Tate sliding in. I think they're gonna pump the ball a lot early, and we'll see how it goes. I mean, you know the guy. He's had 1,000-yard seasons before, and don't get me wrong. Gallman had a good game last week, but I don't think he's the answer. They played the Redskins, which is terrible defense. I think the Giants going to be behind a lot. They're going to throw the ball a lot. So Golden Tate's definitely a speculative ad for me because you never know what you can get with him. You could pick up a guy that could be solid week in and week out. So obviously he hasn't worked with Daniel Jones a lot, but you never know once we hit the field. So I would take my chance on him. What do you think?
Yeah, I agree with that. He's a great possession receiver. He's shown it with Russell Wilson and Matthew Stafford. I think he'll be good with Daniel Jones. You know what I mean? Another guy I like is Dwnz Johnson. He's coming off back-to-back games with a touchdown. As they've moved into a new offense with starter Carl Rudolph, you see Rudolph starting to get more comfortable, more efficient, and I think that's what they're doing as they got him and James Washington on the outsides with Juju playing more of the slot. I think they'll get better at that. They got a decent running game and a 2-headed horse in Jalen Samuels and James Conner. So, you know what I mean? The consistency would be there for him to produce. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I like him. You know what I mean? I like Sutton too. You know what I mean? He's the most.
Yeah, so, you know what, Sutton, for me, I like him a lot. I mean, if you didn't pick him up 2 or 3 weeks ago when he already showed that he was pretty much the number one receiver, I mean, yeah, of course you got Emmanuel Sanders, but showing that outside ability with the big body and in the red zone, I think Sutton's huge. You look at last week with 2 touchdowns. That's going to be he has a chance to have pretty consistent targets. He's had 7 targets in every game, I'm pretty sure, through 4 weeks. So
8 to be exact.
8 targets, at least.
8 per, yeah.
Okay, so that's what I'm saying. Averaging 8 targets per game. That's worth a guy you can have. That's potential wide receiver 2 to flex guy. Wide receiver 3. So, and he's got 3 touchdowns on the season.
Yeah, big target, 6'4", 4'4" speed. He's pretty good.
Yeah, so Sutton's definitely there. I like Dwnz Johnson. I'm just worried about the offense.
Yeah.
Pittsburgh, you don't know. Yesterday, they threw every pass was 3 to 5 yards. They didn't, one pass to Dwnz Johnson for 40-yard touchdown. But outside of that, I mean, they threw to the running backs, 16 times, you said?
16 times, yeah. 8 targets to Samuels, 8 targets to Connor.
Yeah, exactly. So I like Dwnz Johnson in the chance that he could potentially give you some fantasy value on a consistent basis. Juju's kind of disappeared in that offense so far. We haven't really seen any plays made. So,
what do you? Those are some guys that's like least owned right now. What do you think about guys that's out there like, Deshaun Jackson or if I had a choice to pick a receiver right now and he was on the waiver, it would be Robby Anderson. He has been dropped a lot so far because Sam Darnold's been out, and he hasn't been able to produce just yet. But what do you think about Robby Anderson?
Yeah, so you know what? In 10-team leagues, guys like Deshaun Jackson who have been dropped, which is crazy, but it happens. You never know. Robby Anderson. Other big name receivers, Marvin Jones was dropped, you know what I mean, on sometimes. So any receivers like that are either hurting or lacking production because of quarterback play, I like Robby Anderson for the rest of the season, no doubt. I mean, Sam Darnold's out the last 8 weeks. They got dynamite matchups, already had his bye week. So it's like he's already going to be able to fill for you, in the bye weeks coming up, the big ones. So Robby Anderson is a huge person to hopefully try and acquire and get in your lineup. I mean, yeah, he's struggling now, but I think you saw last year at the end of the year with Sam Darnold, he really picked up the pace, and I think it could translate once Darnold gets back.
Yeah, and you know what? To help you out with those buys, Sam Darnold is my number 1 quarterback for the waivers this week. You better jump on him while you can. He still hasn't been ruled out, but rest of the season, he's going to be fine. You do realize through weeks 9 through 14, he plays Miami twice, the Giants, Washington, Raiders, and Cincinnati. That's cakewalk, man. And to match that up with the report that he had with Robby Anderson last year, they already have Le'Veon Bell out of the backfield. Herndon will be back. Jamison Crowder's been looking pretty good for that team so far, filling in. Man, go get Sam Darnold.
Yeah. And you know what? We could jump right into the tight ends. Chris Herndon. The bye week's out.
He's sitting on my bench.
That's what I'm saying.
He's just chilling.
Yeah. So but he's got 1 more game on suspension. So if he's still available in your league and you're hurt in the tight end position, which a lot of people are, in my 10-team league, 90% of the teams have 9 out of 10 teams have 2 tight ends because they don't know what's going to happen. So if you're struggling with the tight end position, I think Herndon's definitely an ad that you can be looking at just like last week and then another week. So.
I mean, yeah, and I think he still has a value even in the flex. You know what I mean? There's a lot of leagues that do that too. So I think he's going to be able to produce somewhere around 10 points a game. You know what I'm saying? I like the Jets a lot. Their defense is going to be back at full throttle. They're getting C.J. Mosley and Quinnen Williams back. That's going to be a sleeper team with the schedule that they have second half of the season.
Absolutely. So, and yeah, as bad as they look now, I think they can really turn it on.
Yep.
Couple more quarterbacks I just want to throw out there in case you're hurting at the quarterback position. Looking for consistent points. Obviously, I like Gardner Minshew. His low 17, his high is 21. It's not by far means great, but if you're looking for a consistent 15 to 20 fantasy points, you're playing guys like Baker getting 10, 11 points. Kyler Murray still hasn't put it together. He just hasn't. So, I mean, if you're really running with guys like that, I would take a chance with Minshew, maybe with Jacoby Brissett.
Yeah, Minshew's a beast, man. He's been trained by the greatest of all time, Uncle Rico, man.
I'm telling you, Minshew's looking good. The min stash is running wild, and he runs the football. He does a lot. So I think,
and I heard he could throw a football a quarter mile.
Yeah, he can throw it over the mountain, guaranteed. So anyway, the last guy I want to talk about, we kind of skipped around, but it's A.J. Brown. Okay, so wide receiver, the Tennessee Titans. Now, my only problem is the target share. It's just so low for me. And the guy can make electric plays down the field, and he's a complete boomer bust. I mean, he's had 2 big games, and he's had 2 nothing games, but his most targets has been 5. So it's hard for me to put a high waiver in on him. Don't get me wrong. If you have an empty spot on your bench, or you're holding guys, or you're just not strong, then I would take a chance with him, because you don't know, you might be able to play him and flex him in those easy matchups. But just the consistency I'm worried about with him. What do you think?
Yeah, excellent producer coming out of Ole Miss. He was back there with that tandem with DK Metcalf last year. Right now they're using him as a big play threat. He's averaging 22 yards per carry. He also has a week 11 bye. That'll also help you out with the buys that's coming up. You know what I mean? He'll always be somebody that's on your bench that you can start if you have a guy out, or through bye or through injury or whatever. Like I said, Mariota's looking for him downfield. The only negative that I got for him is Mariota's looking for him down the field. You know what I mean? We don't know we don't know week in, week out what you're going to get from Mariota, but against softer pass defenses, yeah, I would take a shot on AJ Brown all day. Like you said, I don't know if I would put my number 1 waiver on him just because he is so boomer bust. But second or third easily. You know what I mean? He's a good playmaker. You know what I mean? He could
make those deep catches. I get it. And I mean, you see last week he had 2 touchdowns. So the potential is there. The volume's not going to be there. I don't think it will be, but the potential for big games is possible. So anybody else? I think that's it. I think that wraps it up for the waiver wire this week. So like I said, feel free to take advantage of your opponent's mistakes. If they drop guys like Robby Anderson, Deshaun Jackson, guys that have just struggled through the year, feel free to pick those guys up. Look at the back end matchups, man. It's all day. And then guys like Ronald Jones, I like him long term. Jordan Howard, you're looking at Golden Tate, speculative ad, man. He could be a solid receiver, and you don't know it. So, yeah, that's been the week 5 waiver report.
First 4 downs, baby. We back.